Welcome to my channel, Perceptive Truth. My name is Jennifer, and I help you find your best health by using astrology and other healing traditions because true health is a mind, body, soul connection. Thank you for joining me on my channel today. I wanted to go over this. Okay, well, first of all, I always think people have a mistaken idea of what Aries is, like the god of war, or the sign that represents like hostility. So I came upon this short the other day by this channel called History by May, and I wanted to share it real quick, and then I wanted to kind of discuss my thoughts on Aries now that Neptune is fixing to go into Aries 2 days from now. So I'm filming this on January 24th, 2026. And on the 26th of this month, Neptune is finally moving into Aries for the final time for the next, I believe, 20. I always forget how long it's going to, I think it's 20 years. But anyway, so let me share this real quick. And I cannot play the music, but I will read to you what the short is saying. So let's see here. Let me get a drink of water real quick. All right. Okay, it says the only male Greek god who never abused a woman was Aries, the god of war. His daughter was, you can see the word right here, by Poseidon's son, so he killed him in revenge. Enraged, Poseidon brought Aries before the gods to stand trial. Aries declared that he acted to defend his daughter's honor. The gods agreed and acquitted him. And that was the end. So, of course, let me switch this over. I had to look into this. I was like, is that right? What an interesting take. And like I said, I always feel like people have a misrepresentation of what Aries means. And, Mars is, so here in Greek mythology, oh, sorry, okay, let me finish my thought. In Greek mythology, Aries is the god of war, and in Roman mythology, Mars is the god of war. And then in astrology, Mars is a ruling planet of Aries. I pulled this in just to show you that Neptune enters Aries on January 26th. Oh yeah, and that it was in Pisces for 14 years. Oh, and this is something, I may come back to this, but this is always something that I believe is going to be really noticeable in that action-oriented spirituality. Neptune moving into Aries merges Neptune's idealism, sorry, I can't say that word, with Aries' boldness, fostering spiritual warriors who take intuitive action. Yeah, we can see this already. Societal shifts historically associated with major reforms, uprisings, and advancements in medical and scientific fields. Challenges. A combination can blur boundaries, causing impulsive, reckless, or overly idealistic actions. And that's always possible. But I think because Saturn is fixing to go in there as well, that maybe the blur boundaries might not be as much. But anyways, let's go back to what I was trying to say earlier. In the Aries, the Greek god of war, and then Mars, the Roman Greek god of war, they represent opposite cultural views. Aries is the hated, destructive embodiment of battle, lust, and chaos in Greek myth, while Mars was revered by Romans as a noble, protective, and agricultural guardian, second only to Jupiter. And let's see. Aries in Greek mythology embody the brutal, chaotic, and senseless aspects of war as well as bloodlust, known for irrational rage and often depicted as a fickle and destructive force. Whereas in Mars, he was highly respected and beloved. As Mars in Rome, uh, he was highly respected and beloved, viewed as a dignified protector of the state. Originally an agricultural guardian, later evolving into a military leader, which linked him to both farming and war. And then he was like the father of Romulus, the founder of Rome. He represented tactical military power, bravery, and the protection of the Roman people. And so I also looked into him protecting his daughter because, I do love going into myths and everything. So I hadn't heard this one. So when I saw that video earlier, I was like, ooh, interesting. So let me read this real quick. Um, Aries protecting his daughter. Yes, Aries famously protected his daughter Alcippe, Alcip, Alcippe, Alcippe. I don't know. From, you can read the word right here, by another word I can't pronounce. Halorotheus, a son of Poseidon, killing him in defense, leading to the first trial on the Areopagus, where Ares was acquitted. While Ares isn't generally seen as a protector of women, this story shows fierce paternal protection for his child, sometimes interpreted as a broader role as a protector for mistreated women, although this is debated. So, and you can kind of pause this and read it if you wanted to. And this was another thing that of course, these are some interpretations of Aries. Debated protector of women. Some argue, along with his support for the Amazons, whose queen was his daughter. Suggested he protected mistreated women, while others contend he was primarily a god of masculine warfare. But this was the exception. And in absence of this, interestingly, unlike many Olympians, Aries is not typically depicted as a violator in mythology. His violence is usually battlefield focused. So, okay, hold on. Let me put it full screen. So, I think that's like sometimes a misnomer of Aries. And maybe that's like the two sides of Aries, like where you can have like the more positive end of Aries and maybe the more negative end of Aries. But I did find it interesting that in the mythology and history of Aries, depending, like even in the where the Greeks didn't worship him as much as the Romans did Mars, but it still goes to show that he seemed to be a fierce protector of his daughter, and then some say like mistreated women. And so now that Neptune is fixing to go into Aries, I mean we're gonna have a lot of Aries energy because Saturn is going in there as well. It just goes to show that, maybe I never want to like talk in absolute terms because of course people have will and people are going to be who they want to be, but maybe there is a chance that women will be a lot more protected now. Or maybe that's a false hope. but, like it's really interesting learning the mythology and knowing that Aries was the only Olympian that never like hurt women in that respect. And I just wanted to share this with you so you could see that the Neptune and Aries isn't always a scary, like the Aries energy isn't always this scary monster that people make him out to be. as well as Mars, but Mars being the planet that rules over Aries. And then another thing, right? Because it was Poseidon's son, and then Neptune is the equivalent to Poseidon in Greek mythology, and Aries went over him in that court. So it kind of makes you also think, like, how is this going to represent now with uh, Neptune fixing to go in there? What's the energy going to change? And, you know, maybe women will start to have more voice. Maybe we will be the community that for a long time we've, like, women have been, unfortunately, like, and, again, absolutes, I don't want to talk like that. Obviously, there's lots of women that have a good life, but then there's also women that don't have a good life, that do feel mistreated, that do have, lives that could be better. Or even if we go into like more hot topic debates of like, you know, does a woman have a right to choose and everything like that. So it just makes you think, like, maybe either women will gain more power, like being able to fight for themselves better. Um, Also, the spiritual warriors in this time, um, fighting for what is righteously, morally right. So I just wanted to share that small video with you, and um, please leave any comments down below if you know any more history about Aries, and especially like the history of that mythology. I'd love to hear your take on it. And so thank you again for joining me on my channel. Please like, subscribe, and share this video if you find it interesting. And I thank you so much for coming here today, and I will talk to all of y'all later. Bye.